been a rollercoaster a couple of seasons for football fans in East Anglia. After establishing themselves as a true yo-yo club, being promoted and relegated in 4 consecutive seasons under Daniel Farke, Norwich City have spent the past 2 seasons in the Championship, Farke failing to win a 3rd promotion and his successors unable to change the fortunes of the club. Meanwhile, just down the A14, Norwich's old farm rivals Ipswich Town shot from League One to the Premier League in back-to-back seasons under young upstart Kieran McKenna. Now, after replacing longtime sporting director Stuart Webber with Ben Knapper and giving one-season wonder David Wagner the heave-ho in favour of the assured and exciting Dane Johannes Thorup, it appears Norwich are hoping that drinking from the fountain of youth can lead them back to the promised land of Premier League football. This is episode 1 of our realistic Norwich City career mode, so let's get into it. Now, if you've seen my realistic takeover rebuild series with Everton, you'll already be familiar with Buzzco's Core DNA mod. If you're new to the channel, we'll be using this interactive career mode companion to keep things as realistic as possible and to add a little more depth and immersion into the save. The main feature of the mod is the Core DNA skill tree, which essentially imposes restrictions on what we're able to do in the game until we invest and grow different areas of our club. At the beginning of the save, we're given a set number of DNA and trait points to invest in the areas of culture, operations, recruitment, employment, development, networking, and academy. Investing DNA points in these areas allows us to do things like develop our youth academy, expand our scouting network, and provide more focused training to our players. However, each DNA strand also features a number of traits that will unlock further perks, such as the ability to sign more players each season, or to convince a player to stay if a bigger club tries to sign him. In addition to the Core DNA skill tree, the mod also features realistic buying and selling calculators, which help to determine appropriate values for players, as well as determining whether a player is a realistic target for a club and whether we're forced to sell a player if an offer comes in. We also have a similar calculator for determining salaries and signing bonuses. Beyond that, there's a tab to help us track how many scouts we're allowed to sign and where we're allowed to send them, a similar tab to track developments with our youth academy, and a backroom staff tab where we can unlock further perks and benefits. Now, Norwich City is a small, privately owned, family-run club. It doesn't have big investors financing it and instead relies heavily on developing young players through its renowned youth academy, or finding diamonds in the rough and selling them on for huge profit. We've seen that over the years with the likes of Emi Buendia, Ben Godfrey, Andrew Omabamadeli, Max Aarons, and more. And this is very much Norwich's core DNA, so I've tried to reflect that in the skill tree. Firstly, I've invested 5 DNA points in the culture strand, each of which gives us an additional trait point to spend. I've then invested just 1 trait point in a resourceful owner, which will give us better financial returns on merchandise sales each season. I didn't invest any DNA points in operations, but I invested 3 in recruitment so that I could unlock Gentleman's Agreement, which allows us to hold on to a player until the end of the season when we could have been forced to sell. This will be really important in season 1 with players like Josh Sargent, Angus Gunn, and Johnny Rowe. I also haven't invested any additional DNA or trait points in the employment strand, but this is something we'll be looking to do going forward. Norwich City is a small family-run club, but it will be essential to expand our network of staff if we're going to run a bigger Premier League level operation, and investing in the employment strand allows us to unlock additional members of staff. The final 3 strands are where we've invested most heavily. I've invested 6 DNA points in development and unlocked 3 traits. Practice makes perfect, put through their pace, and legwork all give us more training and development options, both for players in our first team and in our youth academy. I've invested a massive 9 DNA points in networking, each of which unlocks a random location that we're able to scout, and I've further expanded our scouting capabilities by unlocking things like global talent pool and dedicated staff. If we're going to succeed as a club, we'll need to uncover some hidden gems, so investing heavily in these networks will be a necessity. And finally, I've invested 8 DNA points in our academy strand, each of which unlocks an additional player slot in the youth academy itself. Traits like Eye for Talent and Golden Generation allow us to scout more widely and thoroughly, while Best in Class and Front Runner increases our chances of signing any high potential prospects we might find. Now, Johannes Thorup's core DNA seems to align very much with that of Norwich City. That's why Ben Knapper chose him for the job. He's forward thinking, he wants to play with the ball and on the front foot, and he prioritizes developing homegrown talent over splurging on the transfer market. Thorup's Nordsjælland sides tend to play a fairly typical 4-3-3 formation with a high press and possession approach that aims to spend a lot of time in the opposition half. So that's how we're currently set up ahead of the 2024-25 season. Angus Gunn will of course start in goal. Jack Stacey, Grant Hanley, Shane Duffy and Jacob Sorensen currently make up the back four. Kenny McLean, Marcelino Nunez and Gabby Sara form a midfield three, whilst Borja Sainz and Johnny Rowe accompany Josh Sargent up front. However, I also want our tactical approach to be fairly flexible so we can operate a very similar system, but out of a back three. The tactics remain the same, but we've dropped our number 10 in favour of a third centre-back, and our fullbacks are now playing higher up the pitch. So these will be our two main systems, but we will be adding some more specific use formations throughout the course of the season as well. Now, whilst Thorup might be looking to develop the players already at the club, there are some areas of the squad that need addressing fairly urgently. Dimi Yanulis and Sam McCallum have each left the club, so a forward-thinking left-back is a necessity. Hanley and Duffy are each capable starters, but are well into their 30s, with little depth behind them, so a young centre-back would be a welcome addition. And with plenty of clubs sniffing around, Gabby Sara is almost certain to depart this summer, so we'll need to either replace him or grab an additional body in midfield to free up Marcelino Nunez to explore the more creative side of his game a little bit more often. However, we are on a fairly strict budget. Buzzco's core DNA mod calculating we have a little under 13.5 million to spend this season. However, that money won't just be spent on transfers. That needs to cover scouts, coaches and everything in between as well. So we're going to have to rely heavily on the sale of Gabby Sara to fund any new additions, and we're going to have to try and make use of the loan and free agent markets as well. Now, for those that are new to the channel, let me just explain how things work here. We try to keep things as realistic as possible. So I play with 10-minute halves and on legendary difficulty. I also play primarily with manual controls, and I use my own custom slider set, which is available in a sliders playlist on the channel. We play through one calendar month each episode, consisting of one featured game that you'll see in full and completely unedited. I'll then play 2 or 3 additional games each month and show you the highlights, and I'll simulate the rest. That way we have a nice balance between getting through seasons quickly in about 8 or 9 episodes, but still maintaining that depth and immersion. We just have one game in the opening month of July, and that is away to newly relegated Luton Town. But of course, Johannes Thorup has a lot of business to attend to if he is going to prepare this squad for that opening game of the season. We are currently set up with the tiki-taka tactical vision. However, we have only hired one coach so far. We are only allowed to hire 3-star coaches due to the size of our club. We are also restricted on the quality of the scouts that we can hire. However, thanks to the DNA and trait points that we have invested in the skill tree, we can hire 6 Global Transfer Network scouts. Each can be 4 stars, and we can set 5 scouting instructions at one time. Similarly, we can hire a full suite of 3 youth scouts. They can also be 4-star scouts. And we've also unlocked a range of other perks and benefits, again, through the investment of those DNA and trait points. So we do just have one youth scout hired already, a 4-star, and we will be setting up a scouting network in England for 9 months, and we will of course be looking to add those 2 additional scouts as soon as possible. In terms of board objectives this season, we have 1 high, 2 medium and 1 low. Our high is domestic success, and the board want us to gain automatic promotion this season. Norwich of course narrowly missed out on promotion via the playoffs, losing to Leeds. They also want us to reach the round of 16 in the FA Cup. Financially, we need to sell 2 players and sign 2 crucial players to replace them. Also finish the season without any unspent transfer budget. Youth development, of course, we need to add players to the youth academy and ideally bring them up to play for the first team. And then brand exposure, we need a streak of 15 games with at least 1 goal scored this season. So each of those objectives seems pretty reasonable and pretty obtainable, but I don't want those to be the only objectives that we are trying to achieve this season. Instead, I'd like you guys to suggest some fan objectives in the comments below as well. And like the core DNA mod, achieving these objectives is going to allow us to unlock various bonuses and rewards in game, but failing to achieve them could harm the long-term outlook of our club. For example, we'll be working towards an additional youth development objective this season, whereby we need to promote 2 youth academy prospects to the first team and play them in 5 or more games. Succeeding means we can improve our youth scouts by 1 star. Failing means we need to release 2 random youth players from the academy. Similarly, we're going to be setting an individual player target for Josh Sargent, and that's going to be to score 15 goals in the championship. If he succeeds, we can give him a new contract and the captain's armband next season. If he fails to do so, that means we need to grant Josh Sargent a move to a club of his choice. So I'd like suggestions in the comments below for an additional financial and domestic success objective, as well as an objective for the fan experience. As the name suggests, fan experience focuses on the experience of the home fans, giving them football that they can enjoy and get behind. So that could be something like score a certain number of goals in home matches next season. Of course, I will also need a success reward and a failure punishment for each of those objectives as well. But with all those wheels now in motion behind the scenes, it is time for Johannes Thorup to turn his attention to the transfer market, and we have already received an offer for Gabi Sara. Galatasaray have only offered a little under £1 million, but they have offered a fairly interesting looking player in exchange as well. However, we have not unlocked the wheel and deal trait within the recruitment strand, so we are unable to add sell-on clauses or to swap players in transfer deals at this current time. We can, however, go back and negotiate with Galatasaray for a higher transfer fee. Buzzco's Core DNA selling calculator has determined that we can reject the offer if we want to. However, if we do want to negotiate with Galatasaray, we can negotiate their price up to 17.5 million. We do, of course, have plenty of uses for that money, and Norwich did only pay about 10 million for Sara initially, so it would be a profit of about 7.5 million. However, Galatasaray do not value Sara that highly, and negotiations break down. However, it hasn't taken long for another offer to roll in, this time from Porto, 3.8 million, with Marko Grujic this time the player offered in exchange. And whilst we can negotiate Porto up to 17.5 million, I would be happy with 15, and Porto do agree, so we could have a deal for Gabi Sara organised. However, Sporting Lisbon are looking to swoop in and steal Sara away from their rivals, so we could have something of a bidding war beginning here. So Sporting Lisbon match the price that Porto are willing to pay. Sara will have his choice of clubs in Portugal. Gabi Sara has made his decision, and it will be FC Porto. And we were allocated 11.5 million by the board for that particular sale. Gabi Sara's wages were 26,000 per week. So when we execute this, our remaining transfer budget will go up. And we now have almost 26.5 million to spend. We have, however, managed to find 2 additional youth scouts. So, of course, we do need to consider them amongst our other expenses, which leaves us with a little under 23 million. And with less than a week to go until the opening game of the season against Luton, that money can't sit around in the bank account for too long. So Johannes Thorup has managed to secure his first transfer of the off-season. It's going to be Harry Toffolo, a left wing back, coming in from Nottingham Forest for a fee of just 2.25 million. He's going to provide some great width, some great stamina up and down that left-hand side, and he should be able to whip a good few crosses in for Josh Sargent to get on the end of. And playing across from Harry Toffolo this season will be another new addition at fullback. Marius Wolf arrives on a free from Borussia Dortmund. The 28-year-old's contract expired at the end of last season. Dortmund not willing to offer him a new one, so he comes over to England and the Championship. We do, of course, have Jack Stacey, but we are woefully thin at fullback currently. So Wolf and Toffolo should give us some real good balance down the flanks outside the likes of Borja Sainz and Johnny Rowe. So with the opening game of the season a matter of days away, the squad is starting to take shape. However, we do have one gaping hole in that number 10 position behind Josh Sargent. We have a handful of players on our transfer shortlist who could fit that mold. Christian Medina was top of the list, but Boca Juniors would have needed a transfer fee somewhere in the region of 18 million, which is just far too much. But despite having a couple of irons in the fire, we're unable to get any additional deals over the line ahead of our opening game against Luton Town. So it will be Ashley Barnes who starts in that number 10 position today. Borja Sainz, Johnny Rowe and Josh Sargent will lead the line ahead of him. Marcelino Nunez and Kenny McLean will form the double pivot in behind, and the back four is comprised of Grant Hanley and Shane Duffy, with the two new additions either side of them. Wolf at right back, Toffolo at left back. Angus Gunn, of course, starts in goal. As for Luton Town, they will line up in a defensive 5-4-1 formation. Former Norwich City goalkeeper Tim Krul will start in goal, and Budimir, I believe, is a new addition up front for Luton Town. Luton will, of course, be looking to get straight back up to the Premier League at the first time of asking, but we'll be looking to go one step further than we managed last season. The board, of course, want us to get promoted automatically. I would take promotion in any form. Via the playoffs would be perfectly acceptable. So without further ado, let's head over to Kenilworth Road and see which one of these two promotion hopefuls can get their season off to the best possible start. So we are up in the commentary box to begin a new era for Norwich City. The Daniel Farke era was one of great success. Multiple promotions, both via the playoffs and automatically, and via winning the championship, not just automatically, but first place finishes. However, with Daniel Farke departed, the same kind of winning mentality, the same kind of winning habits that Norwich City had become used to. And it is those winning habits that Johannes Thorup is looking to establish once more in East Anglia. Wolf with a fantastic ball into the box. Johnny Rowe gets his head on it. Unfortunately, puts the header wide, but a bright start for Norwich City down that right hand side. Marius Wolf already displaying the kind of traits that we brought him in to display. The same will hopefully go for Toffolo on the left hand side. We needed stamina to get up and down the flanks. We need good deliveries from the left and the right hand side, looking for the likes of Josh Sargent and then Borja Sainz, Johnny Rowe, as we just saw there as well. We set up fairly narrow with our front three. Josh Sargent, of course, is a traditional striker through the middle, but Johnny Rowe and Borja Sainz are currently set up as left and right forwards. Johnny Rowe once more causing issues in the box. Josh Sargent manages to hold off the challenge of the Luton Town defender. His left-footed shot, unfortunately, like Johnny Rowe's header only moments ago, goes harmlessly wide. But these are bright, positive signs early for Norwich City and Johannes Thorup. He came into the club with the intention of playing some expansive, attacking, positive football. And that is exactly what we have seen so far. It's less than ideal that we have Ashley Barnes in the number 10 today. Good intervention by Shane Duffy, but we do need to get it away. Grant Hanley comes across to make the block. Budimir, I believe a new addition for Luton Town, is he not? But Barkley will put the corner in. We finally do have Kenilworth Road in the game. We're about to switch over to FC 25 in just a couple of months. But we finally do have Kenilworth Road in the game. And it is the Kenilworth Road faithful that see their team take the lead. Budimir opening the scoring just 10 minutes into the game. And this, I think, is going to be an area in which we struggle this season. It's going to be set pieces. We're not a big team. We're not a strong team. We very much are going to be looking to play football. And I think that is going to leave us vulnerable when teams get corners, when they get free kicks in dangerous areas. And we have already seen it as Ante Budimir gets Luton off to an ideal start. We don't need to panic by any means. We've had the more positive start in these first 10 minutes. Luton Town have exposed already one of our weaknesses. But that doesn't mean the game is beyond reach by any means. We just need to get on the ball, we need to play our football, we need to continue to try and establish our game plan. I would have liked a new number 10 ahead of this game. I think Ashley Barnes is going to be... He has played the number 10 for Norwich in real life before. Gabby Sara, of course, would have been an ideal player to play that role in this particular system for us. Grant Hanley needs to put a foot in here. Doesn't manage to do so. Shane Duffy does manage to hook it clear, though. But Sara is easily our most valuable player, and we do need a bit of money this season as Luton Town look to double their advantage. Angus Gunn parries away this time. Luton Town really grown into this game. I think there are a lot of big clubs sniffing around Gabby Sara in real life as well. I think it's very likely that he will be on his way out of Carrow Road this summer. So I think it is best. Again, Budimir causing huge issues in the box at the moment. I think it is best and most realistic that we do let Gabby Sara go, even though I am very sad to see him leave. He is an excellent player, particularly at the championship level. Good feet from Marius Wolf. Did he find Borja Sainz? Just kind of squeezed out by multiple Luton Town defenders. We do have our eye on a couple of number 10s. Christian Medina, of course, was one that we attempted to bring in, but he was just too expensive. The valuation is up near 20 million, and that's just far too expensive. We need somebody in the 8 to 10 million range if we are going to be buying a centre midfielder outright this season. We do have a couple of other irons in the fire in terms of loan deals, however. So I'll keep you posted on those as we go forward. Johnny Rowe can't quite get his head on that one. Toffolo will recover and recycle, however. Kenny McLean taking up a good position. Ashley Barnes the same. McLean just about manages to find Marcelino Nunez. But Luton Town doing an excellent job defensively, and I think that is going to be an issue going forward in this game. Now that Luton Town do have the lead, those 5 at the back and 2 holding midfielders, they're going to be incredibly difficult to break down. And we may need to try and hit them on some quick counter-attacks like Toffolo is doing down the left-hand side here. Josh Sargent, the only one in the box to aim for. And Toffolo can't quite find him. Borja Sainz pressing high to try and win the ball back. Luton Town do manage to work it clear down their left-hand side, though. And it was almost good defending by Grant Hanley, but just couldn't quite get the foot in. Toffolo getting caught a little narrow. We do have bodies back, one of whom is Toffolo. Good intervention. And he gives the ball straight back to Luton Town. Excellent pressing by Ashley Barnes, though. And he needs support. He cuts inside. And he's still going, Ashley Barnes. Can't quite find the run of Borja Sainz, though. It was a decent enough effort. But I think we are seeing the disadvantages of having somebody like Ashley Barnes in that particular position. He's not the quickest, you know. At this stage of his career, he's kind of a target man. Yet we're having to play him in the number 10 role. We do have Liam Gibbs on the bench, who will likely be making an appearance at some point today. Nunez, Wolf finds Nunez once more. Toffolo on the left. Nunez again. We do need Nunez to really dictate the play now in the absence of Gabby Sara. And he would be an option to play in that number 10 role as well if we brought in more of a box-to-box midfielder. Then Nunez could step up into that number 10 role. I think that would be plan B, I would say. If we can't find a number 10 to bring in, that would be a backup option. Nunez. Runners each side of him, one of whom is Wolf. Josh Sargent is not in the box. Pulls it back to Borja Sainz. Can't quite get a shot away. Josh Sargent needs to be in the penalty area on those kinds of occasions, because he is really our only target to aim for crosses. And what a ball that is. Budimir in on goal. Shane Duffy does well just to hold him up and to intercept the pass. Josh Sargent can't find Borja Sainz, can't hold on to the ball and wait for support either. Game's opened up a little bit now here at Kenilworth Road. Good tackle by Nunez. It's going to be a Luton Town throw, however, as Josh Sargent apparently has picked up a knock. Very much hoping he is able to run that off. And it doesn't look to be hindering him at any point at the moment, or in any way rather at the moment, as he pulls it back to Borja Sainz. He does manage to get his shot away, and again it's wide of the target. We've had a handful of chances here in the first half. We haven't yet managed to test the former Norwich City goalkeeper Tim Krul between the sticks for Luton, though. Really squandering our few opportunities that we are managing to create. Josh Sargent once more. Wolf again with that outside overlapping run. Borja Sainz picking up a position on the edge of the box, or really around the penalty area, as McLean finds Johnny Rowe. And again, there's just so many Luton defenders back. There's Ashley Barnes. He does manage to find Marcelino Nunez. Hanley just works it across the back forward to Duffy, and then into the feet of Toffolo. There's Nunez once more, but Barnes, who has been pretty awful so far, unable to find him with the pass. And I think that might be a change that we need to make at half-time. I thought Barnes would be able to handle that number 10 role at least adequately, but he's really been a hindrance to our first half performance. What a challenge that is, and Johnny Rowe does collect. Manages to hold on to the ball as well, but cannot find Grant Hanley. And we're in trouble here. Thankfully, the Luton player puts too much on the cross. Toffolo can't win it back, however. Ashley Barnes is back doing some defensive work, which has been as much of a contribution as he's made in this first half. And Borja Sainz is away into the Luton Town box. Josh Sargent up in support, but Borja Sainz does not need him, because he manages to find the far corner. And just before the stroke of half-time, we are back level, courtesy of Borja Sainz. A player to keep an eye on next season in real life, I think. He is really Emi Buendia 2.0 in my opinion for Norwich City. A very, very similar player. Very good going forward, excellent with the ball at his feet. Has the kind of vision to play those through balls like Buendia did to Timu Pukki. I think we're going to see the same from Borja Sainz to Josh Sargent this season. But he's very similar to Buendia as well in terms of his temperament. Very feisty. Doesn't like to lose the ball. And when he does, he immediately tracks back and tries to win it back. He's not scared of a firm challenge either. And he does manage to draw us level on the stroke of half-time. Some positives in that first half for sure. We created as many chances as Luton did, and we actually edged possession. But we're going to have to be a bit more clinical in the second half if we are to win this game.
Thank
Thank you for checking out this episode of our realistic Norwich City career mode. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're approaching the end of the FC24 cycle now, but there'll be plenty more content to come with the release of FC25, including 12th man memberships. If you want to get more involved with the channel, check out the membership tiers on my homepage. Memberships start at less than £2 per month and come with a whole host of benefits and rewards, including you being able to feature in my career mode saves. We'll be starting a road to glory with a created club as soon as FC25 drops. So if you want to be included in the save or even feature in our starting 11, become a 12th man member of the channel today. 12th man members also get exclusive early access to all of my videos, not only my career mode series, but also my realistic slider sets and everything else in between. If you want more information about exactly what each tier involves, be sure to check out this video on my homepage. If memberships aren't for you, you can also join the public area of my Discord server, or just keep watching and enjoying the content for free right here on YouTube. As always, I appreciate all of your encouragement and support. Now, let's get back to the video. So just the one change at half-time. Ashley Barnes has made way. Just was not working with Ashley Barnes in the number 10, and I think that is a position of urgent need as we move forward in the transfer window. So Christian Fasnacht has come on. Borja Sainz has moved across into that number 10 role, just behind Josh Sargent. Good challenge, Wolf. Fasnacht can't keep it in. So I think the two positions that we desperately need moving forward and that we have to secure before that transfer window closes is a new centre midfielder, preferably a number 10. If not, a number 8, and we can move Marcelino Nunez up into that number 10. And then we also need another centre-back. Duffy, one of our current starting centre-backs, comes across and does a good job there. So Duffy and Hanley, obviously currently the starters, but both are into their 30s. As Josh Sargent finds Johnny Rowe on this left-hand side. Bit of a heavy touch. Does manage to keep hold of it and does manage to find Marius Wolf on the right-hand side. We have signed Jose Cordoba as well, a centre-back who was signed with Norwich in real life. Johnny Rowe finds Nunez, who again finds Wolf. Again, there's just so many Luton bodies back, though. We just have to retain possession through Nunez and then switch play to Toffolo, who's going to be able to loft the ball into the box early. Johnny Rowe can't quite get on the end of it. But we don't really have many centre-backs beyond that. We've got Hanley, Duffy, Cordoba. That's kind of it. We do have Tomkinson as well. But we do need another starting calibre centre-back, and preferably a centre-back that can take over from Shane Duffy in a starting role at some point this season. So if you have suggestions for either of those players, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. We need a young, high potential number 10. Good save, Angus Gunn. And we need a young, high potential centre-back. Each somewhere in the 5 to 10 million range. Probably in the 5 to 8 million for the centre-back. Somewhere in the 8 to 10 million range for the centre midfielder, I think would be ideal. McLean this time is the player that's picked up a knock. Does manage to get the block in there, though. Borja Sainz back. And Grant Hanley manages to clear. Josh Sargent drops it into the path of Fasnacht. And Kenny McLean, supported by Harry Toffolo and by the run of Johnny Rowe up ahead. Kabore, however, is the Luton Town defender who stands between Toffolo and the final third. And Toffolo is never going to win that foot race. Bit of a cagey start to the second half. Haven't really picked up where we left off in terms of an open and expansive game that we finished the first half with. But I think we might be trying to open things up slightly if the game does continue in this way. Toffolo back, trying to defend against the run of Ross Barkley. Johnny Rowe dropping in as well. Good challenge, Kenny McLean. And hooked clear. Can Josh Sargent win the header? Yes, he can. Fastnacht immediately surrounded by Luton Town defenders, though. But Wolf is there on the overlap. He has a bit more pace than Doughty. And we have a number of players to aim for in the box. Johnny Rowe being one of them. And Johnny Rowe gives us the lead. Fantastic counter-attack. We said in the first half that we might need to rely on that in this particular game, because when Luton Town are not in transition, they get so many players back and they defend so deep and so narrow that it's just so difficult to break them down. But Marius Wolf, the new signing, breaks away down the right-hand side. One of our few real quick counter-attacks that we've managed. And we saw Johnny Rowe with the first opportunity of the game put a header wide. This time he has corrected his mistake. Not only did he get it on target, but he managed to hit the back of the net. And 63 minutes into the game, we have a lead at Kenilworth Road. And we have a lead to defend. I would be more than happy with a narrow 2-1 victory to open the season. Fastnacht's looking to find Johnny Rowe as well, though. What a header that one was. Johnny Rowe is not an aerial threat by any means. He is very much on the smaller side. And he is, you know, not particularly strong for a small player either. But apparently he can leap. Sambi Lukonga to come on for Luton Town to try and change the game in the final 25 minutes or so. Johannes Thorup not about to make another change just yet, but I imagine there will be changes at some point in the not too distant future. That's a poor pass by Grant Hanley. And Johnny Rowe is having to track back and defend again. We do have Adam Eder on the bench, who we could bring on for Josh Sargent. Adam Eder, somebody I'm not sure what to do with, really. He spent the second half of the season in real life on loan at Celtic, and it seems he did well there. Celtic like him. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see him join Celtic in real life on a permanent deal this summer. However, rumour has it that Norwich have rejected a bid. I believe it was in the region of 4 to 5 million was the reporting. So the exact details of that offer aren't really clear. And Johannes Thorup has said that he does want to evaluate all players in the squad ahead of this season. And I believe Adam Eder... Josh Sargent hits the post. The game should be over. We should have doubled our lead. The game should be done. Josh Sargent cracks the post. What an opportunity. I believe Adam Eder was a player that was named explicitly in Thorup's introductory press conference as somebody who, you know, could be on the way out. Does he want to get a look at him? Toffolo with the ball in this time. It's a really good ball in as well. Borja sights in the box but can't get there. Johnny Rowe again wins the header though. Kenny McLean, it's a good challenge. But look at how deep Luton Town are. 11 men really in their defensive third. Nunez finds Toffolo once more. Acres of space. Fastnacht is in the box now. Poor cross from Toffolo. Couldn't quite match what Marius Wolf was able to do. Kenny McLean. There is Wolf on the right-hand side. And again, he's going to drive at the Luton back line. This time we'll just hold on to possession, though. And it's a good challenge by Luton Town. This will give us an opportunity to make another change or two. Just as Luton Town are doing, Carlton Morris to come on. So they are going to be chasing an equaliser here late in the game. And it's going to be a couple of changes for Johannes Thorup and Norwich. Marcelino Nunez and the goalscorer Johnny Rowe to come off. Liam Gibbs and Jacob Sorensen on to replace them. So some fresh legs in midfield. Couple of relatively defensive options in midfield as well. And that's a poor challenge. Morris has only just come on for Luton Town. But already he has a booking. Just seconds into his appearance. And that's a really poor challenge on Jacob Sorensen. Sorensen is going to be a heavily used player for us this season, I would imagine. But very much in a kind of bit part role. He's going to be a bit of a utility player for us, because he can play at centre midfield, you know, defensive centre midfield. He can play left back. He can play even centre back. So he's going to be fulfilling a number of different roles. I think it's going to have to be Kenny McLean to take the free kick here in front of the Norwich City fans, with an opportunity to put this game beyond all doubt. It looks to be a decent effort. It gets over the wall, parried away by the goalkeeper and then collected. What a save by Tim Krul. That would have been an ideal way to end the game, in front of the Norwich City fans that have made the trip down to Kenilworth Road. But we do have about 10 minutes to see out. Borja Sainz on the left-hand side now that Johnny Rowe has left the field. And he just relays the ball back to Kenny McLean. Grant Hanley, the captain for this season. Of course, we do have that player objective for Josh Sargent. If he scores 15 goals in the championship this season, then he will be rewarded with the captain's armband. That is because we are looking ahead to the departure of Grant Hanley. Maybe not from the club, but from an everyday first team starter. Hanley, of course, the captain at the moment, but if he's playing less of a role in the first team, somebody else is going to have to step up in that absence. And we do have Josh Sargent pegged as the player that we hope can make that step up. Can't quite win the ball back there, however. Kenny McLean can't win it back either. We are doing a decent job of holding Luton Town off for these last 5-10 minutes of the game, however. And that's very good defensive work. And Josh Sargent comes away with the ball. Good challenge by Luton Town. But it does go out for a throw. And maybe the opportunity to make the last change or two of the game, which Luton Town are taking themselves. And Josh Sargent, unfortunately, has picked up another knock, so he will leave the field, as will Borja Sainz. Adamida will come on to play the last 5 minutes or so up front. And Jose Cordoba will come in to a back five now. In our ultra-defensive formation, we do set up in a back five formation just to, well, a formation for this exact situation, when we're trying to see out a narrow lead late in the game. A flat back five, a flat midfield four, and just one player up front in the form of Adam Eder. And we will just go all the way back to Angus Gunn, who will look for some reason, Cordoba on the left-hand side. I may need to go back in and adjust some positions if the ball goes out of play at any point. Oh, no, I think it's fine. No, Cordoba has made his way back into the back five now. Adam Eder can't quite steal it away. Luton Town really need to get the ball forward if they are going to find an equaliser. We are into stoppage time, of which there are 4 minutes, one of which has already elapsed. And Luton Town just cannot find a way forward. Excellent defensive work from Jacob Sorensen. Christian Fasnacht back to defend as well. Can't quite steal the ball away via Kenny McLean. And Jose Cordoba forces it wide, where Harry Toffolo is going to put in an excellent challenge. Unfortunately, it's going to go out for a Luton Town corner, which Tim Krul is coming up for. We've seen Luton Town score from a corner already today. Hopefully they can't do it a second time. We know it's a weakness of ours. Shane Duffy wins the header though, and Fasnacht needs to put in a challenge and needs to get rid. He does the first, he doesn't manage to do the second. Luton Town get a shot away, and it's parried away by Angus Gunn. Luton desperately searching for an equaliser. as the 4 minutes of added time have elapsed. I'm not sure that was going in. Angus Gunn potentially could have left it, but you had to be sure at the near post. And Budimir gets the equaliser. Grant Hanley beaten in the air. Budimir, 2 corners, 2 headers, 2 goals for the Luton Town striker. And it's pandemonium at Kenilworth Road, as the points are going to be shared after all. The ball sails over the... It was actually Duffy. It was actually Duffy that was beaten. I thought it was Hanley, but there's Hanley behind, diving in to try and get something on it. Nothing Angus Gunn could do about it. And I mean, there's not a lot we can do in general about conceding 2 goals in that fashion. And it's the last action of the second half, the last action of the game, that gives Luton Town the equaliser. I mean, what are we supposed to do? There's not a lot we can do. We don't have players in the side that are really aerial threats, either going forward or in defence. You would hope that Hanley or Duffy could handle it between them, but Budimir just a superior aerial target, and he proved that on the 10th and on the 90th minute. All in all, I think a decent enough result away from home against a relegated side. I think we can take a point. So it's always disappointing when you have the lead and you don't end up taking 3 points from the game, but we gave a very good account of ourselves against a side who were in the Premier League last season and who did make it very difficult for us throughout the game. It's not like we got outplayed either. We went toe-to-toe with Luton Town and probably had the better of the game in open play. And with only a handful of teams actually winning their opening game of the season, we do find ourselves in 7th position. It is obviously very early days, but we have several games to get to in the next episode, 6 in total. So the championship table will start to take shape fairly quickly. We'll be taking on QPR, newly promoted Oxford, Sunderland, Plymouth, and Millwall in the championship. We'll also be facing Exeter in the first round of the Carabao Cup, and we will of course have the closure of the summer transfer window. So make sure you get those suggestions in the comments down below ahead of the next episode. We need a young, high potential number 10 in the £8 to £10 million range. We need a young, high potential centre back in the £5 to £8 million range. Make sure you get those suggestions in as well for the fan objective. So we need a domestic success, a financial objective, and that fan experience objective. We also need a success reward and a failure punishment to go along with each of those objectives as well. So that will do it for the first episode of this realistic Norwich City career mode. We'll probably go 3, maybe 4 seasons on this one, so plenty of content to get through. I hope to see you in the next episode. Take it easy.